Hi, my name is Susan Rösner from Wortmann AG. I'm really excited, wow, that's loud. I'm really excited to be here and talk about Terra for Microsoft Azure Stack solution. And we have a great cooperation with Intel going on. So we are going to print our Azure Stack solution on Intel's All-Flash next generation hardware. And we're really excited to talk to you about that. Before I start, one question. Who knows Wortmann? Okay, 2 people. Well, okay, 3. Well, I guess I'm really sorry about that, but I guess that were not enough hands going up, so you'll have to bear with me through 2 slides about Wortmann. Wortmann has been founded 30 years ago by a guy named Siegbert. And guess what his family name is? Wortmann, right. So we are a privately owned company by Siegbert Wortmann. We started out as a manufacturing, so we are an OEM partner. We have a direct line, so we are selling Terra. Terra is our brand name. We are selling Terra, wow. We are selling Terra directly, but our main focus is our partners. So we have over 15,000 partners we have worked with, and they have, those are larger and smaller system houses, and they are selling our products directly to their end customer. Now, you see a map there. So we are a German-based company, and that's why our first phase for Azure Stack, we are going to focus on the countries we are strongest at, so that's going to be within Europe. And what's really interesting, the Wortmann Group, so it's not just Wortmann AG. There are many different companies, daughter companies, and we have a turnover of 1.2 billion. So it's a larger company within Europe. Now, what is Wortmann offering? What I just said, the first point, tablet, notebook, servers, those are sold under Terra brand, and through our partners, as I just mentioned. And a couple of years ago, we started with providing cloud service. So we are also a cloud service provider, offering the traditional services, so to speak, because I mean we are already producing hardware, right? So why not simply use that hardware in a different way? And that way we are quite flexible. Because we believed, Europe, especially Germany, is a very conservative country. So we believe that cloud services would be a nice business to have, but wouldn't, start out and really grow at a tremendous rate. But we were quite surprised that we were wrong. So also in Europe, times is changing. Cloud is really a hot topic there. Now, the next thing about components and especially software is quite interesting. And most people who are already working with Wortmann, even those don't know it, but we are one of the fastest growing CSP partner in Germany for Microsoft. So within 2 years, for example, we went from 0 to place 2 in regards to CSP sell rates. So Microsoft is really happy with Wortmann about that. And the next thing is all those services we are selling. So the hardware, the software, cloud services, all of those need, of course, support. Our customers, they require training for new solutions, and many of them, especially already starting with the hardware side. When a customer was coming to us and he was not only buying like one hardware server or so, instead he had a larger project going on because he wanted to transition to a new platform. Most of the time they also asked us, well, could you help us with deciding how to move forward? with deciding on a new architecture. Look at what we have right now and where could we transition to, what could we improve. So we already had consulting services, and that's been built up now. It's growing because with the cloud service we are now offering, that's even more important, the consulting services, because now you have to transition from on-premise to cloud services, and that's just not easy, as most of you probably know. You have to be aware of many things in order to make it really work. So, and all those 4 components I've just been talking about, I mean, that's what you need if you want to offer Azure Stack. You know, you have to have expertise on hardware, you have to have the expertise on cloud services, how to create them, how to offer them to your end user, to your customer, if you're yourself an IT system house, and about the licensing. So we believe that we are a great partner for you going forward on your journey with Terra Azure Stack. Now the next point, the leasing point, is something that even people who've been working with us don't know about, but we are able to offer quite flexible business model, I mean payment model, because Wortmann has one of the best financial health rate within Germany. We have a better rate than even many large financial institutes, and that means we are able to offer to our customer financial solutions ourselves. We do not always go to a financial institute, only if, for example, a leasing project is quite large, then we will involve a financial institute, and otherwise we'll do it ourselves. And that means, yeah, we're able to offer flexible solutions. So those were already the 2 slides you had to be with me through. And I'm really excited, I'm very proud that we are able to now officially announce that we are also a Microsoft Azure Stack partner together with our partner Intel. And I just put some slides in there where Microsoft announced our official partnership, though just for your information. And I'm also really happy or at least I believe that we are the first to publicly announce or officially announce that we are able to offer it on an all-flash hardware. So I'm really excited about that, and that's why I'd say let's go into more details. So our agenda today is first, our partner Intel is going to provide you more information on the technical side, on the hardware side of the Terra Azure Stack solution we are going to offer. And after that, I'm going to talk about what Wortmann with Terra for Microsoft Azure Stack is going to offer to you. And in that regards, I'd like to invite Marcello. I'm really sorry I'm not able to pronounce his last name, so I don't want to embarrass myself, so I'll just like to hand over to Marcello.
Thank you, Susan. It's been interesting to been working with her for the past year, and she still doesn't know how to pronounce my last name. But I'll put this system to the test here. I'll say my last name. It's not hard. Let's see if the live translation or live capture is going to say it right correctly. My name is Marcelo Pinheiro. Moment of truth. Ooh. They cannot even do that, so it's not your fault. That's okay, right? So if artificial intelligence cannot put my name there, why should you care? That's okay. So let's go over the agenda topics here. We're going to talk about Microsoft partnership, Intel Microsoft Wortmann partnership, the benefits of All-Flash, Intel RDMA connectivity, Intel multi-server manager, the co-engineer efforts and some numbers behind it. It was a lot of effort and time. And then I'll transition back to Susan so she can go and talk more about the Terra for Microsoft Azure Stack and do a demo on management for all. That's a key differentiator for Wortmann and Terra brand. So Microsoft partnership. It's the famous Wintel partnership. It started back a long time ago, 1994, when we had the first Pentium-based and Windows NT. Who here in the room used Windows NT? Some hands? Okay, good. Who still uses it? No one? Good. You're following the technology transition. That's good. So 2000, we had the, again, working with Microsoft, we were able to scale Windows Server to 64 logical processors. It was huge at that time. And we still continue evolving with Microsoft. In 2010, we could optimize Windows Server for 512 logical CPUs, processors, Vista CPUs. So that's the partnership. It goes beyond just the Wintel terminology, but it's a true engineering participation, each one providing feedback to the other. We improve on our side, they improve on their side, and we try to offer the best to the industry. So if we go to the numbers here, it's 11 generations of Windows operating systems, 17 generations of Intel products, 20 years of innovation expertise. And that doesn't stop there. Obviously, we are working closely with Microsoft on Azure Stack. And Azure Stack is a big thing, right? Wortmann comes into play because Wortmann is uniquely qualified by Microsoft and by Intel as a gold partner, platinum partner, if you will, for both sides. They have expertise on software, hardware, services, and delivering cloud in EMEA region. So in this whole co-engineering, it's in this three-way model. Microsoft obviously provides us the software and all the rules, the requirements we have to follow in order to have an Azure Stack solution in the market. Intel, with TerraCloud servers, has the lab, the engineering expertise to go troubleshoot, debug, help them out in that sense. And Wortmann, TerraCloud team goes and try to concentrate on their business to make sure the use cases are okay, all the workloads they're going to test are okay, and provide us feedback on how should we improve, right? I'll go into more details on this later. So if you were sleeping this past year and a half or so, Azure Stack is an extension of Azure. I won't spend a lot of time on this because I guess you've heard during the conference a lot about this. But the goal of Azure Stack is to have an on-prem hybrid cloud solution mimicking what Azure offers with a subset of services initially that you can leverage that on your public hybrid cloud solution, right? So if you look from a big picture perspective, we have both Azure and Azure Stack are both powered by Intel. We have the consistency of the development tools. We have the operations pretty similar on Azure and Azure Stack. So if you're either a developer, either an operator, data center operator, you have the same look and feel and the same experience if you're either running Azure or on Azure Stack, which is good. So you don't have to retrain your team. You have a qualified team, know where to go, and know what to do, right? So that saves time, saves money, and gives you efficiency. Going to the future of storage. So Intel started as a memory company back in 1968, 68, right? If I'm not mistaken. So in looking at the future of storage, it is funny to see how it evolved, right? Who here has a notebook or a desktop with spinning drives? Okay. Who here has a notebook or desktop with SSDs? Okay, that's good. That's nice. For those who answer that have with SSDs, are you willing to go back to HDDs spinning? No? Why not? Come on. It's cheaper, right? Isn't it? But the experience is completely different. So if you look from that perspective, it's like, why should I go back? So if you look at internet, let's make an analogy to the internet. Who here has ever used a dial-up connection? Old dial-up connections stand late night, all those funny noises, right? And then you went to broadband, right? Broadband was way faster. Are you willing to go back? Of course not. Why not? Because you raise the bar, your standards are higher, you don't take any crappy internet, right? Do you? No, you don't. You want higher, even better connectivity. The same with the storage. So if you have one that is cheaper, but doesn't fulfill all your needs, why keep going that way, right? Why keep going that route? So I was lucky to hit some of the past and how the storage was evolving. There are some interesting ones here. So if you look at this one here, it was, okay, 30 days, 80 megabytes for $12,000. Or you can go, if you want to decrease the dollar per megabyte. You can buy 300 megabytes for $20,000. The first one is around $150 per megabyte, and the second one is around $66. Wow, that's awesome, right? $66 per megabyte. And then there was more. I saw the trend, the evolution. Now we can have here 10 megabytes for $3,000. Oh, $3,500, right? And then, oh, but we're improving. Look at this, 10 megabytes for $398. It's a decrease. Price is dropping dramatically, right? Let's keep doing. And my favorite one, which is somewhat funny, I have a strange sense of humor, but I found it funny, is this, 2 cents a byte. And they put a bread, something like that, it's 2 cents a byte. So looking at Intel, what have we been doing? What technologies are we concentrating now from the memory storage perspective? So there's a gap between when you are dealing with operations in operating system, the data was either in memory, in DRAM memory, which is still expensive, or in the spinning disks, right? Intel saw that gap, as everybody else, other players in the industry as well. And we developed the 2D NAND flash storage technology. Was a interim solution, I would call it that way, to fill in the gap of, okay, you don't have to have a very slow spinning media to transition your data to. We can go to 2D NAND. And we quickly evolved to 3D NAND, which is faster, lower cost, and has a higher density. So we are getting pretty close, not to the HCG numbers, to spinning, but pretty close to some good numbers that will make your ROI way better when it comes to all-flash. We have today very good examples of doing that. And I'll give you one example that doesn't fit here. If you're talking about old archive storage, right? If you want to leave the data there for 10 years, you're not going to be using that. It's just save data. Personally, I wouldn't say go with all-flash. Keep your spinning. But for everything else, I don't think there's a good use case that spinning would beat all-flash storage. Also, Intel has developed another technology called Optane, 3D XPoint, that was announced last year and made public this year, that is even closer to the CPU. It's called the hot data tier, and it's even faster, ultra low latency, and you can have a burst of performance, if you will, on your applications. And we did, obviously, we have some numbers to show, and we compare to our previous generation. So if you look at the first column there, I don't know where the pointer is, but the big column on your right-hand side is the latest 3D NAND products, the P4600. All 1.6 terabytes, the same workloads applied, same hardware, and we just changed the storage piece. In the very first one, on the yellowish, greenish, on the smaller bar there, is the S3510. It's the SATA device that we are comparing. The one in the middle is another NVMe device that's the P36 one. And what we did was, okay, let's put this to test. Let's have the same machine, same configuration. Let's run the same workload. Let's see what the outcome is, right? And the good surprise is, yes, we can get up to 6.8x better than the SATA device and 3x than our previous generation. That's how much we're evolving. Same workloads, 3x gain. If we go into a mixed environment workload, this is 100% read, by the way, the one that I just talked about. The second one is 730, 7% read, 30% write with IOPS. And we still have at least 2x improvement from our previous generation and 6.4x from the SATA devices. So this is huge. It's a big, big, big gains that you have, right? So if we compare here to talking about TCO and agility, right? Oh, by the way, let me just go back. So these devices here are typically used for cache here. As you know, Azure Stack is based on storage spaces direct and has a cache and a capacity here. And the P4600, the NVMe that we are talking about here, is the one that TerraCloud adopted for their solution for Azure Stack, right? So you can see how we're going with this, right? So the next slide is what we're comparing is we have several metrics here. IOPS per terabyte, and now we compare to spinning, right? 7.2 RPM, and 10K RPM, and 15K RPM. If we compare to SATA, it's 7.6 more IOPS per terabyte. If we compare with P45, that's an NVMe solution, that's 486x more. That's a huge gain. Huge gain. And by the way, it doesn't cost 486x more. Obviously, you pay a premium because that's a premium product, right? But the trend is going down. That's the good news. So if you compare the terabytes per watt and the IOPS per watt, again, the numbers are all in favor. If you look at the SATA S3520 and the P4500, sorry, there are huge gains comparing to spinning devices, right? IOPS per watt, same thing. So if you look from efficiency, agility, TCO, all numbers are in favor to an all-flash solution. And people, if you look at the conference, it talks about the best way to predict the future is to create it. And at Intel, our CEO, Brian Krzanich, would say, others project the future, we build it. That's similar, same message, but that's the way how we build the future, right? We create products, look at the trends, look at our customers' needs, workloads, characterization, and how should we best fulfill those needs. And that's one proof of it. We go there and deliver a product together with our partners. And just as an Intel employee, everybody's always curious, oh, what's the manufacturing piece, right? I won't go over this. But just to give some highlight on the NOR to NAND flash transition, a lot of generations there, 30 years of experience delivering, of scaling experience, delivering memory technology and storage technology, 17 generations of flash cell technology, more than 1,000 reduction in cell size, 50,000 increase in density. That's huge, and we're still going, right? We can offer today 1, 2, 4 terabytes, 8 is coming, 16, 32, it's on the roadmap, it's coming. So it should be out there soon, right? So the value of an all-flash stack solution. So I'll highlight some points here. First, lower latency, as I showed with the numbers, better IOPS, application response time, positive impact on customer experience, right? That's why I asked why. So for people who have the notebook with SATA SSDs, or SSDs, I'm sorry, if they would transition back to spinning. No, why? Why not? Customer experience. You just boot up faster. You just launch an application, it's faster, right? You save a file, copy a file, it's faster. You're used to that. You get used to that. You don't want to go back, right? And the pricing for Azure Stack, what is public today, is the same. So if you go on a pay-as-you-go model, the dollar per gigabyte is the same regardless of the technology. So if you are going to pay 6 cents or whatever number that is per gig per month for blob storage, stable, queue, 18, regardless what's the underlying layer, right? That's the service that's being offered. Why should, if you have to pay, so let me do this. Let me do an analogy. You go to a rental car. You have $10. And the guy says, OK, you know what? This is your special day. Choose any car you want. Would you go to the economy 2-seat that can drive 30 miles per hour, or would you go to the high end and say, oh, $10, right? That's the same thing. That's the same thing here. If you have a flat price, why would you pay the same price, not choose all-flash, right? Choose spinning. Also, that's for the solution perspective. If you're analyzing from that perspective, that's some points to analyze. The other points are on the operations per se. So we're going to have the solution, but we're going to make it live. You're going to have workloads. You're going to have to do patch and update. You're going to have to do field replaceable units. You're going to have to do several VM migration, right? Which environments do you think it's going to be better? With the all-flash solution or with a hybrid solution? Please don't answer. I think we all know the answer, right? Or no, or not, or maybe not. I'm sure what the answer is. So if you do patch and update, if you do storage rebalance because for some reason you have to migrate VMs or bring a node down, drain a node, So all VMs are going to be there, and then power off the node for patch and update maintenance, for field replacement units, for BIOS BMC update, for firmware update, for any reason. When you bring a node down, all VMs will migrate to other nodes. And when you do so, that's storage space direct on the underlying layer, right? What will happen? It will have a storage rebalance. It's three-way mirrored. Data that's in that node, we won't access anymore, but the storage space direct algorithm will rebalance between the remaining nodes. And guess what? Which one is going to be faster? So it reduces your maintenance window if you set up one. And that means business, that means money, that means efficiency, that means better quality of service that you're offering, either internally to your customers or as a CSP. So the node boot up also is faster, right? So let me transition from the storage piece, and let's go to the internet RDMA piece. It's a must-have, and it makes total sense to have it. But I want to highlight the new Intel Ethernet iWarp RDMA. So RDMA is good because, first, it doesn't process anything on the CPU. It processes off the CPU, offloads from the CPU. That's one good benefit, regardless of the vendor you choose. It has lower latency because of that. Specifically to iWarp, to RDMA iWarp, it has DDP, data direct placement, which means it's a zero-copy approach. So you avoid context switching between the application and copying down to the NIC, which, again, it helps with the lower latency and the better performance. Other things that, from an Intel perspective, we are offering that in an OCP format, the Open Compute Platform format, so it's somewhat flexible, or a discrete card. It's the X722. That's our model that we launched this year. And iWarp, generically speaking, iWarp is standard-based, and it has a better congestion management, right? And if you look at the numbers here, how many ports we sold on Ethernet ports? A lot. So Intel has been on the Ethernet business for years. For those who had the chance to study that, so the Ethernet was created more than 30 years ago by DICs, right? D as in data, as in digital, I as in Intel, and Z in Xerox. So the DICs created the Ethernet frame format. And that's how Intel started engaging with Ethernet. So since thereon, we only evolved to 10 gig, 25, 50, 100, 400 gigs. We have several alternatives. For this case specifically, we're going with dual 10 gig. Another important piece that is critical for the Azure Stack portion, and we partner closely with Wortman on this. This is an Intel solution that Wortman will potentially leverage and improve. They have a lot of expertise. That's Intel Multi-Server Manager. What it does, it takes care of the hardware piece for you. So you don't have to worry about it. It's going to be a seamless operation. You're going to have system discovery feature to query the system for information, what is there, what not, health and performance data. You're going to be able to check system consistency. I'll go over each one of those. Update system firmware, and chassis identification, power on, and some other cool features. So the first piece is Azure Stack is sold as a SKU unit, right? And the concept of SKU unit, just quickly bringing up here, is minimum of 4 nodes, 2 top-of-rack switches, 1 BMC switch, and 1 HLH, the hardware lifecycle host. So 5 servers minimum, 3 switches. So the way that this software works is it does a SKU unit discovery. It goes and finds out about all the nodes that you have. So it creates a group for you with all the nodes information. So you just need to provide the BMC IP address, obviously the credentials, and you go there and gets all the information for you, right? You can, at a specific point of times, or can constantly be checking the system information if that's needed, but you can specifically collect what that information is: memory, CPU, storage, firmware specifically, BIOS version, BMC version, any underlying layer that you typically don't have it handy, that system will provide it for you. So the monitor health portion, so we can check, create alarms, alerts, so we can know if something's going wrong. like power supply failure, you're going to know that. If there's any internal component that failed, you're going to know that. And you can constantly check that also, depends on how you want to use it. It's completely flexible, the way we implemented this. The other portion is check system consistency. We created this portion here because all nodes in Azure Stack must be equal, right? So the way that we developed this was, OK, let's create a gold file with what the stack has and do a consistency check. So all nodes will be checked against that gold file. And if there is anything missing, we're going to highlight it for you. Oh, BMC is different on this node here. It's not supposed to be. Please update it, right? It also identifies what missing parts are. If there is any system that you, for some reason, removed one drive, it just say this one has one less drive than the other ones. And you can easily see that, OK, I have an issue. Let's go and fix it, right? Also, important piece is the update firmware. All of this process that I'm talking about here is completely out of band. There is no interaction with the OS, even if you don't have an OS, right? It's completely out of band. So if you look at how Azure Stack does the field replaceable unit, the flow is to go inside the UX on region management, scale unit, click on the cluster, and it's going to see all nodes. There's a drain button. This was showed here in this past sessions. I'm not going to demo it. In the drain button, when you do the drain button, you say, OK, this node is going to be on maintenance mode. All VMs are going to other places, and I'm going to power off the server. And when you do power off the server, that's when multi-server management comes into play. Goes check it. OK, it's ready for a BIOS update, for instance. And you run the procedure to do the BIOS update, to do the firmware update, all out of band. And firmware for all components that are inside. The HBA, the NIC, the NVMe drives, the SATA SSD drives, the FRU, SDR, BIOS, BMC, every single component you're going to have access and control to do the update. And obviously, this is going to be part of the OEM extension package that's going to be pre-validated, fully validated and certified by Intel first, TerraCloud second, and then to the customer. So you're going to have full confidence that went through a lengthy validation process that it's OK to go and run and update it, right? And how are we going to deliver this? Simple. Virtual appliance. We create a Linux virtual appliance that's going to be on the HLH, on the hardware lifecycle host. You only have to touch that virtual appliance once or twice if you don't want to use it. And why do I say that? You're going to have to set the password, and that's it. Once you do that, all PowerShell. So we create a PowerShell interface so you can do every single command through PowerShell. And that's the flexibility that I'm talking about. You can integrate that easily to any of your other monitor systems that you have. TerraCloud, you certainly add a lot of value to that. But that's what Intel is offering, right? So PowerShell, go there, just a simple line command, just have prerequisites on setting up the certificates so they can exchange between the HLH and the virtual appliance, so it can be authenticated. And then you should be good to go. If you don't want to go that route, OK, you can go use the virtual appliance. It's a Linux-based virtual machine, and you can feel free to do whatever you want there. So it's completely flexible. And it can be integrated to Nagios or Nagios. Some people say different. I say both ways, because I don't know which one is right. So Nagios or Nagios, right? Co-engineering solution. From the co-engineering part, we have some numbers to show you here. That's an example of a rack that we have in the lab. That's a 12-node rack with the HLH on top and two top-of-rack switches and one BMC switch. So we have multiple min scale units, 4 nodes, and multiple max scale units, all TerraCloud servers. There are a lot of people from Intel, and I'm first, thank you so much for the Intel folks who allow me to be here and trusted me to not say something stupid. Thanks. Some people are laughing because they know me. So thanks a lot for being here. I'm very proud to be working with you. I'm going to make that public. Very proud to work at Intel. Several business units at Intel that are working on this project. At Microsoft, lots of people, regardless to say. TerraCloud, lots of people. So there are a lot of people engaged in this Azure Stack effort. So if we go to the more than session now, that's more than 1,000 hours running tests, validation, performance, private cloud simulator, validation as a service, other funny tasks that we do in the lab. More than 1,800 cores in action, summing up all just for the lab, right? Just having that, that's the power that we have in our labs just to run and test and validate Azure Stack. We have more than 35 petabytes of memory installed. That's huge. That's a lot of memory, right? We have 2.7 petabytes of all-flash storage spread all over Germany, Intel, Microsoft. That's a lot of storage for validate a solution, right? And some of the numbers that we're going to show here are based out of the Azure Stack resource calculator that's going to be released the next month. And it was presented by VJ at least, and Spencer, I believe. Some numbers here, those numbers can change, by the way. And if you use the A1 profile, we can have 290 VMs on the mean scale unit, and it's 4 nodes with a specific configuration. And we can have up to 3,280 virtual machines if we run on max scale units, 12 nodes with a certain specific configuration. If we vary a little bit the VM profile, like D2 VMs, it varies from 35 with 830, right? The numbers vary, and there are some guardrails there. But just to give you an idea of what we are doing in the labs. To make this public today, and Wortmann and TerraCloud can be announced as the first all-flash Azure Stack solution on the market. Again, on the co-engineer efforts, full validation certification process. It's a lengthy, very interesting process that we have to go through. And we go to the security piece. Security piece is a big one. And why I say a big one? Because we have to do, Microsoft is being very vocal about security, which is awesome. And the security piece, we have to run pen tests. We have to develop threat models for any extra piece that we're going to add, not on Microsoft software, but on top of that. Like we do that already, but we have to do that for Azure Stack on the BMC portion, on the virtual appliance with the multi-server manager. So, and we are running pen tests. We're running Qualys, which is another official tool that Microsoft announced for the network vulnerability scanner. So we do that over and over. Every change, we do that and check. Security is not a point in time. Security is a process. It's a live process. So every change that we do, every new BMC BIOS that we release, we go there and do the same thing over and over again to make sure we are not going to put something on the market that's not reliable and secure. So if you go for the manageability piece, again, we just develop that software. We tailor it for Azure Stack needs. And Wortmann, Terra, we have that available. For the through and P&U process, we do that over and over again. Every new release, we go and test the through and P&U process. For the through, we have people in the lab, very creative people. They do a lot of stuff. Just yank drivers out, turn off a switch, just power off a node just abruptly, just see how it goes. Let's see what happens. It's fun to watch some behaviors. We do not expect customers to do that, but we never know, right? And last but not least, our hardware, meaning TerraCloud hardware. We work close with them to fine-tune the BIOS, BMC, to the level of reaching Azure Stack certification requirements. With all that being said, I would like, again, to transition back to Susan. On the Wortmann show, she's going to talk about the Intel's first all-flash Microsoft Azure Stack deployment partner. That's Wortmann, TerraCloud. And she'll go over on the Terra for Microsoft Azure Stack. That's the outcome of our three-way engagement. Susan, I won't say your last name as a payback. Just kidding. I don't know your last name. I can't pronounce your last name. It's pretty hard for me. Susan, take it from here.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Marcello, for the information. So on the hardware side, what our Terra for Microsoft Azure Stack solution is based on. So what I'm going to talk about now in the next few minutes is what management solution, what we are going to offer to you within our Terra for Microsoft Azure Stack solution. Before I go into a little bit more details, just some basic things. I mean, powerful, I'm not going to go through, I guess, through that a lot. I guess if you've attended some of the Azure Stack sessions, you've heard about, the easy use of it, that no matter if you want to go into a public cloud, into Azure or Azure Stack, it's a seamless movement from your on-prem, because the technology, the underlying, the API, the UI, and so on, it's the same. So you are ready to go. Well, cost-effective, that is related to Wortmann. I've already highlighted a little bit when I was introducing Wortmann that we are going to offer a unique solution for as a payment model. I'm going to talk a little bit more about in detail later on. Yeah, fast, as Marcello talked about now, it's an all-flash based solution, so I think he provided many examples why that's a really good idea to go. I mean, as he said with the laptops, would you go back from SSD to HDD? No. So why use, why use a traditional or a traditional hard disk-based solution if you have the option to go with all-flash? Not just for, as Marcello mentioned, not just for performance increase on your services you will be having, but also on the maintenance. I mean, it's an integrated solution. So if you have to go through updates, patching, it's affecting your Azure Stack solution, and with an all-flash, you're going to have shorter maintenance window. I mean, there are so many examples. Yes, efficient. That's already, I mentioned that already as well, or in many sessions it's been mentioned before that because of the API, you just have to do work once, and you can offer your services to your end user either in Azure or on Azure Stack if you are aware of some, I mean, there are some limitations on Azure Stack. There are some services that are not yet ready on Azure Stack, but if you're aware of that, you have a great opportunity. And especially, we already talked with several of our partners, and they are really anxious to start with Azure Stack because they just realized that if they're creating a template, a gallery item for the marketplace for Azure Stack, they are also able to offer it on Azure. So, I mean, they've just never realized that, but when we've been talking with them, they realized there's a new market they're able to access with working through with us. We're helping them on that. And the last part I'm going to do a demonstration on is going to be Manage for All. That's what Marcello mentioned several times. We also created a management platform for you to use. One thing, as he just mentioned, for monitoring, so it is based on what Marcello already introduced to you today, but we are also going to in Azure Stack itself, in the portal, you will also see the alarms coming from Azure Stack itself, so from the software layer. And in our tool, we are going to have both sides, so that you don't have to move around, that you just have one interface to use. And the other thing is about communication, but I'll talk about more in next slide. Okay, so what are we going to offer? What we're really happy about offering is a marketplace integration. Not just, I mean, as you know, Azure Stack, if you have a connected or if you want to, you can use the marketplace syndication to use the gallery items, the templates that are already there. I mean, why invent the wheel if you already have the templates to be used on your Azure Stack environment? But as I mentioned before, we are a cloud service provider as well. So of course, we do have our own services, and many of our customers, they are security conscious, or they do have compliance requirements they have to fulfill. And with that in mind, we created the services we offer them. And so those services we are already offering to our customer, we will be also offering to our Azure Stack customer for them to use on their Azure Stack environment. Yeah, automation. That's not really specific to Wortmann. I'm just going to mention it because we believe that this is just a great opportunity when using Azure Stack. When we're talking with customer about going into cloud or going into hybrid cloud solution, many of them mention, and I'm not sure, maybe you've experienced the same, many of our enterprise customer, or not only enterprise, although medium business customer, they were telling us, well, they must do something cloud related because you know, a department comes to them and tells them, well, I have a project next week and I need some resources, please, you know, make them available. And because of the processes that the IT department has, they're just not that flexible. And so what's the department going to do? Oh, I do have my credit card. Oh, there's the cloud. I'm just going to use it. Bypassing the IT department. Oh, it's against company policy. Well, my project has priority. I don't care. So many of our partners come to us and say, we need a solution. Are you able to help us? So they need an integrated solution ready to use where they don't have to look at the components, how, you know, how everything has to be put together to be able to use it. They just need a solution that they're able to use and not have to prepare everything for. And that's why we believe that Azure Stack is going to be a real business enhancer for those. I mean, another example is we are already providing something similar on a much smaller scale. As I said, we are offering cloud services through our Terra Cloud Service Center. And we are offering something called Managed Infrastructure as a Service. And what that is simply that our customer gets a dedicated environment where he's able to run our services on. And it's just dedicated for us, the automation in there. He doesn't have to do anything. He just has to, you know, give us his credit card number and he's ready to go. But it is his environment. The portal is, he decides what is going to be shown in his portal, what services he wants to offer to his end customer. And we just introduced this this year, and it's running. I mean, it's just going ahead so much, and that's why we believe that Azure Stack is going to be a great opportunity, because with Azure Stack, I mean, we are not going to be able to offer all the services that Microsoft Azure is going to that you have in Microsoft Azure or going to have in Microsoft Azure Stack. And that's why we are really anxious to offer this to our customer, because we see that there is a demand already to be able to use all those automation, standardization, and the flexibility. And that's lead me into the sales center, because many customers also say, I don't know if you've already using services, but many customers come to us and say, well, I'd like to go into the cloud, I'd like to use cloud services, but I'm not sure about the sizing. So I know what my physical hardware, what my application require on the physical space, but I have no idea how I should transition this and how I should translate this into Azure Stack or into a virtual environment. So our Terra Cloud portal, I'm going to show you. That also. We are providing a method for you to be able to decide what scale you require, what resources you require, and also our sales team. I mean, they've been doing that with our cloud services. Consulting customers, so we'll be doing the same for Azure Stack. So you don't have to. I know that Microsoft provides an Excel sheet where you're able to do that, but you can do that also in our portal or talk with our sales team directly. And the last thing I wanted to point out is support. We talked about that there's going to be a three-way relationship, you know, with Intel as our hardware partner, Microsoft as our software partner, and we are going to offer the solution, deploy the solution, help you with your services. So I want to reassure you, I don't know if any of you have been to the session, I think it was yesterday, about the support model of Azure Stack. Don't know if, no, okay. Because there, Microsoft was mentioning again, there is not going to be a finger pointing. In the background, we are already developing a solution with Microsoft for ticket exchange, for example, for an automated ticket exchange. And I'm going to give you an idea with how that's done with Manage for All. So we are integrating quite tightly with them, with Intel and with Microsoft, for you to be able, if you have questions, if you have a support ticket, for you to work with us. But if you're already familiar with Azure, so if you already do have a premium support or just a standard Azure support contract with Microsoft, and if you're familiar with that, if you're happy with that, then please go that route. It doesn't matter if that's a deployment issue or so. Microsoft will simply reroute the ticket to us. That's not going to be an issue. Okay, yeah, I've mentioned several times before that we are in a unique situation because of the financial health Wortmann is able to do. So, of course, we are going to offer the traditional message. So, if for some reason your company requires it, if for some reason your billing system, and when we talk to our customer, we still have many customers who have a manual billing system, so to say. So the pay-as-you-go model is just something they're not able to use because it would be too expensive for them, because everything has to be entered manually, and it just doesn't make sense for them. So if you're in that category, no problem. You can purchase Azure Stack from us and own it straight. But if you want to say, okay, I'd like to start with Azure Stack, but the initial investment is way too high, I'd never be able to get improvement of that, no problem at all. We are also going to offer a lease-based model, so you just have your monthly rate for your hardware and the pay-as-you-use or pay-as-you-go model for the services you're going to use. That's not going to be a problem. Okay, so what are we going to offer? I guess that you've seen similar slides before, but I'd like to point out something. So the first thing, we're going to offer you the 3 switches that are always part of Azure Stack. 2 Arista switches for S-Tor switches and 1 BMC switch. The HLH host, of course, is going to be part of it. That's, as Marcello mentioned, where we are going to put our goodies, where Intel is going to put their goodies. And the last line, as shown, we are going, just as everyone, we will be able to provide you from min scale to max scale, so from 4 to 12 scale units, no problem. There's one small differentiator here. There is not going to be a set scale unit limit, so we are not going to offer like 4, 8, and 12 nodes. You can scale it just the way you require it. So if you need a 7-node Terra for Azure Stack solution, that's not going to be a problem. You're flexible in that regard. And what's always included, of course, is at least a 3-day training, so a hands-on training, because we want to make sure that after the deployment, after we leave, that you are able to work, to start working right away, that you know how to operate the Azure Stack solution, that you know how to how a gallery item, how to integrate that into your solution, and that you have a very basic understanding of ARM templates, for example. Though that's something we are always going to include in our hands-on training. Yeah, I mentioned, when I talked about Sales Center, I mentioned about pricing or sizing, the scale you require, and so on. So what we've unfortunately, I'm only able to show a screenshot. We're not yet allowed to provide the prices, and if I would show you the demo, all the prices are in there, so I'm sorry about that. But what the portal is, that's the screenshot from our Terra Cloud portal, and what we are offering there is you enter the number of hosts you'd like to have, and optionally, you could enter the services you would like to run on your Azure Stack environment. And we would take those numbers and have a look if they're really able to run on the number of hosts or scale units you selected, or if that's just not going to be possible, if that's not going to be feasible. And we would advise you, okay, please change accordingly. So that's an optional thing we made so that you know what scale you require. And the second thing is we are also going, I mean, in here I have a quite easy example. I simply took Azure Stack VMs because that's very easy to calculate. And I simply, what we're doing is we're simply taking the maximum amount that you might have to pay. So for an Azure Stack VM, that means we calculate that this Azure Stack VM is running 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, because that's going to be the maximum amount you might have to pay for that VM. Because I don't know how it's with your budget in your company, but with the customer we are talking to, they have to provide a budget either for in the next 6 months or for the next year. They have to provide some numbers. I mean, pay as you go is great, but the budget still has to be defined, and that's why we're giving you an estimation what you might have to pay for the services you might want to run on your Azure Stack environment. It's just an estimation, just to give you some numbers to work with. If that's not, if the portal isn't, if you still have questions, that's what our sales team is for, to help you with sizing and budgeting. But that's one starting point for you could use. Okay, then, yeah, finally, Manage for All. That's the software solution we are also going to offer. And I just see that I don't have so much time left. That's why I'm not going to go through all the things. I just want to highlight some points. The first one is a unified support platform. It's not just a unified support platform that we are going to offer. It's more a unified communication platform. What that means is I'm going to show you in a demonstration. The other thing I wanted to highlight is the interface to onboard systems. I'm not sure about you, if some of you are developing your own products. Not sure if you do, but several of our partners, they are developing their own software products, and they want to offer them themselves, but don't know how to do that. And that's why, for example, we have interface to Team Foundation server, not just monitoring server services like the Intel tool from the multi-server management tool, also to SCARM and some other monitoring tools. We are also having interfaces to ticketing tools, but we also offer more interfaces like for the Team Foundation server, so that if you want to create your own services and you have to develop them, we could work together, because if you want to put them on, if you want to have them on Microsoft Azure Stack, so Terraform Microsoft Azure Stack running as a service, we could help you with that. And in order, for that to make it easy, so that in case we find a bug when testing your solution on Terraform Microsoft Azure Stack, we could open a ticket, and this ticket would go right away to your development team. And we'll be able, to integrate on working together to make sure that your services you want to offer your end customer, your end user, is really there. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so what I'm showing you here is the management portal of Manage for All. And because of the time constraint, the only thing I'd like to show you is the communication I mentioned. That's really important to us, that you are always aware of what's going on. So I already created So I'm just going, before going into more details, I'm just going to explain Manage for All a little bit. So that's the ticketing side of it. So your end user, your end customer could create their own tickets, and you would see them in your management portal. Here I have a ticket that is a little bit more, that is going to be a project. That's why it got several subtitles, sub-tickets. So the project is a file server migration, and that's why several sub-tickets already exist. And you can tell that this ticket has already been worked on because of the blue color. The other one hasn't been touched yet. And if I'm just going to open this one, come on. Hello. That's just some basic information you have here. And what I just wanted to show you is the comment section, because here you are able to directly communicate with your end customer. And I'd like to show that. To you. So this is now a system for an end user. It might be a developer or whoever who does have some problem. Like for example here, it says that the application is really slow. So he does have some problems, and what happened here? This ticket is assigned to Susan Rösner. Now, what I just showed you is here I'm working as Florian Fischer. So this is not my ticket. Instead, if I go, this ticket has been transferred. If I go here, it says relate tickets, and this ticket has been transferred to Terra Cloud GmbH. So we, as Terra Cloud, this ticket has been transferred to us because the partner that the end customer has been working with, he wasn't able to solve the issue, and that's why he transferred this ticket to us. And how did he do that? That's quite easy. So I'm simply going to open a ticket here as an end customer. Oh, it's showing. Just entering some information. And there's also an option. I mean, with Azure Stack could be anywhere, and this solution is running for Azure Stack. So this, as Azure Stack could be running anywhere, and you might not have administrator out there that could help, on site. You're also able to remotely access through our Manage for All the Azure Stack solution, so that you could have your IT personnel, centrally located in your HQ or wherever. And as the first analysis of the problem, you'd see if your customer allows you the remote access, then you can do that. Okay, so he's going to send the ticket. So the ticket should have, as you can see, the ticket has arrived in my in my administrative center. Because it has been sent from a machine, I know all the details about the machine already. So in case it's a problem with this machine, I have all the information, and I'm able to use some action against it. I'm able to remotely access, or I'm able to run commands against this machine on Azure Stack and so on. So I'm going to, if I click this ticket relationship here, because I know that I, as the company, am not able to solve this issue because it might be a hardware-related issue, and that's why I know I cannot solve it. I have to give it over to Intel, for example, so that they are able to work on it. And now I'm getting a selection of all the partners that I'm able to transfer tickets to. In that case, Intel would be one of the partners, and the ticket would then be transitioned over to Intel. And the good thing about that is that it's always transparent. That means the end user always sees in his ticket if a ticket gets transferred. He's getting a comment saying that Florian Fischer has transferred the ticket to, in that case, for example, TerraCloud. And he also sees the status of the ticket. So he sees if Intel is really working on the ticket, if Intel is providing comments and they are public to the customer, then the customer sees those comments as well. And even the customer is able to make a comment, and the comment will be transferred to Intel, even though that we as TerraCloud, for example, are in between that. So it's always a transparent communication, and it's just not between Intel, Microsoft, and Workman, and you as the user or provider of Azure Stack. You can onboard all your partners. So if you have outsourced some support services or outsourced things, you could onboard your own partner here for that transparent communication and so on. And just as the last thing, in this section here, you will see if there is a hardware-related alarm or if there is software-related alarm, it will always open up here in incidents, and you'll be able to see them. So I'm sorry, it's a German one that the CPU performance has reached a threshold, and that's why for at least 15 minutes. That's the threshold I provided, and that's why the alarm has been going on. And I see right away from which machine, from which system within the Azure Stack environment this alarm has been coming, and I'll be able to work on it. Okay, yeah. As we only have 8 minutes left, I'll stop with the presentation, with the demo, and yeah, just one more note. We are already offering Microsoft Azure Stack Development Kit. So I hopefully you've attended a session on Azure Stack and are ready to go. So if you cannot wait any longer and want to use an all-flash based hardware solution where your Azure Stack is running on, please talk to us. That's why I included our sales team there, because we'd be able to offer you this right away. You could start right away with the Intel platform and the Azure Stack Development Kit. Yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you for your attention. Hopefully, we provided great information for you, and if you have any more questions, or Marcello is happy to answer them. Thank you for your time.
Are you using All-Flash SSD solution or All-Flash NVMe solution?
It's a mix. For the cache here, it's NVMe, and for the capacitors, SATA SSDs.
Additional questions. One NVMe drive can get more throughput than 10 gig NIC. Why are you using 10 gig network infrastructure?
I didn't get that, sorry.
So you're saying that the network infrastructure?
If you're using NVMe solution in your Azure Stack environment, one NVMe drive can get more throughput than one 10 gigabit NIC. Why are you using 10 gigabit network infrastructure?
Okay, that's a very good question. So SGG requires 2 NVMe as the cache here for redundancy purpose. What we observe is that, yes, if you do a stress test for any device, 10 gigabits is not enough. If you have one single device, two devices NVMe, is going to obviously going to, but that's the test, the purpose of the test, to stress test. When you put Azure Stack layer, all the infrastructure VMs, plus the workloads on top, for the experience that we have seen, so it's dual 10 gigs, 20 gig in total, we haven't reached the limit. So we are 40, 50% with mixed workloads, mimicking a customer scenario with databases, Exchange server, web servers. So we haven't reached that limit. If you are stress testing the system, definitely you're 100% right. Any other questions? So we are all set for lunch? Yep.
Yeah, you should remind folks to come check out the demo.
Definitely. Thanks, Bruce. Please stop by our booth. We have this specifically that we're talking about here, the All-Flash, with the live demo for Azure Stack. That's the only live demo that I've seen so far. So please stop by.
Thank you.
Thanks.